Hello and welcome to The Nation. I'm Elane Abdullah. Today we have with us Colonel Civil Defence Technologist Dr. MOHAMAD FAZLI SARDI, Commandant of Civil Defence Training Academy, a disaster management specialist who has worked on numerous response and recovery efforts, including at the recent landslide in Batangkali. And also Lieutenant Civil Defence KANG Civil Defence Special Team has seen firsthand the bravery and selflessness of people in times of crisis, and we are honoured to have them both on the show to share these stories with us. Now, before we start, I'll give you a background. A total of 92 people were affected by the landslide at the Father's Organic Farm campsite in Gotong Jaya near Batangkali in the early hours of last Friday, so that's about a week ago. The landslide claimed 30 lives, with 61 people having been rescued, and the search continues for the final victim. Now, before I begin, I'd like to first of all say thank you to you both for your rescue efforts, for your dedication, and for being part of that team. I think Malaysia thanks you, and thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I'm sure the search and rescue team that you guys have involved have been, similarly been showing the dedication and the leadership that comes to the fore is very apparent in how quickly we have responded. So now let me begin with the first response at the recent landslide in Batangkali. I would like to find out what went through your minds when you got the call and when you first got to the scene. Perhaps you can walk me as well as the viewers through how coordinating took place with the various departments, and did we get volunteers? Where were they from? Describe to me how they coordinated with the team. Okay. Let's start with you.
Thank you, Elane. Thank you very much for calling us to join this evening. Actually, when the disaster struck, this is common when we get a call from the caller from a system. Malaysia do have one system, which is MERS 999, Malaysian Emergency Response System 999, which is when the caller call to the 999, we need to respond within what event code that they have been. For example, in Batangkali, which is happened in the early 2 a.m. So the response get to our command center, which is we need to respond to the caller, and then from that kind of the call came to us, and then we need to respond early. This is same to the other agencies, which is when we came to the site of the ground zero of the incident, we need to size up the area. We need to know what happened to the area, and then we need to know what kind of the situation actually happened, because as we know, the Batangkali incident is happened during at the midnight, right?
That's right.
So this is very impossible to get more information during that time, and then what we have that we need to somebody to give the basic information for the location and for the incident. That's why from the first incident that came during that time, we need to be secured our personnel first.
Right.
This is impossible.
What I wanted to know is, do you remember where you were and what happened? And perhaps to start with you at that point of time, how were you called or informed and involved?
Yeah. The landslide actually happened in Selangor. So automatically Selangor Civil Defence was alerted. But it finds that there's a need for the special team to come in. So I was in headquarters. So actually Selangor alerted headquarters. So I received the call at about 3:05. Yeah, so at the time then I was getting my men ready. So I asked my men to go first, the first team. So they actually departed my office at about 3:35.
How many were in this team?
5 of them, because we call it the Ricky team. So they went in and they have to have a basic look, and then they will call back and let me know how the whole situation is like. So I will send supporting team. Yeah, so and then I went also. So when I first arrived at the situation, the destination, it was a total mess, So an embankment of about 450,000 cubic meters of earth,
Yeah, we can see those visuals.
Yeah, it actually collapse,
And
right?
during night as well.
Yeah, during night time.
It's
So
very
it
tough.
covers an area of about 0.4 hectares. So it's a very, very huge compound.
And with that kind of a situation, visibility very, very low,
Yes.
how were you guys able to assess the situation? Perhaps you'll be able to advise what are usually the steps in order for you to be able to assess this kind of situation. And where were you at that point in time, Doc?
During that time, actually, as we know, we at home, right? During 2 a.m. During that time, and then when I received the call from my superior, which is need to support from our, because I'm from the Civil Defence Academy, so I need to give permission to our team, the PASPA, which is a elite team for civil defence, to help to the Selangor State for the search and rescue in the morning. So when we gain our groups around during that time, 6 people from academy to join from headquarters and also from the Hulu Selangor district for civil defence to help them to the first size up. The first thing is size up. When each agency or from the several agency came, and then we coordinate within the agency to give segregate the area for the particular areas for the search and rescue for the first. And the first thing that very important during the first attempt is what kind of event, how big the area, and how big the magnitude of the disaster. We need to know the first one.
So you were on site, you were part of the first response team, you were there to see the situation. What was the first thought that crossed your mind when you were there?
At first, we were quite shocked, and we were like, are you serious? Like, because when we got the call, it told us there was about 100 of us victims.
Well.
So we're like, sure, not hundreds. Then so I sent my men first. And then they came back to me and said, yes, it's about 100. So it was a bit shock to us, of course. And quickly I sent my more men to the site. And of course, myself also went in, and a lot of people, and a kind of mess. Some people, they are trying to, retrieve their family members, and some of them, they are trying to look for a spot to be safe. Yeah, so my men trying to also join in the team to dig, the soil, the earth, and things like that, to try to locate the victim. And also those inside there, the campers, they actually inform us where were the victims. So we're trying to, locate first, because there are a lot of souls there.
Yes.
Yeah, the earth and all that, and also there are so many cars overlapping each other. So it's quite saddening to see that. And at the same time, we have to respond.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think one of the biggest question is, how do rescuers handle the intense pressure as well as responsibility of trying to save lives during this kind of a situation? Because your first reaction is, if you see people in need, you just want to jump in and help.
Yes.
But there needs to be some kind of coordinated effort to ensure that everyone's safe, protocols are handled. So perhaps you can walk us through that.
Okay. During the disaster, actually, we do have segregate our teams. The first, like I said, the seize-up team is to have the first sightseeing in the first hand, what we can do at the first hand, and then we need to have also technical team.
When do the machineries get mobilized in?
That one is, I think, on the day
During
2
the first.
day 3.
Yeah.
Day first is only personnel going inside, because
with hand tools and
yes,
stuff.
Yeah.
we don't know the structure of the land and everything. We aware about maybe the second landslide will happen.
That's what the next
Yes.
question I have. Because if you're in a situation and a landslide of such magnitude has already happened, people who are in the area are still at risk, because you don't know the geological situation of
That's
the
why
space.
in the second, in the first day, the technical team from other agency, for example, from the technical agency such as Geoscience Malaysia, which is they came in to advise all the responders what kind of soil, how stiffness the soil and everything, so that we can do the rescue operation more precisely and more safe for our personnel actually.
Right.
Also, they actually install a motion sensor.
Yes.
So once they detect there's even a slight motion, then they will call out for emergency stand-down order.
Right.
So all of the rescuer, then we will leave.
Right. So how do the teams coordinate? Because, there's always going to be like fatigue, you rest, and this is high intensity in terms of physical sort of pressures. And how do your teams manage that?
During such intense rescue operation, actually during the first and second days, my men, they are still energetic, you know, because all in their mind was to save lives.
Yes,
so they would just go all out, things like that. So I just let them do, because this is how this is what we are tasked for. And then during the second day, so I'm trying to get them into shift. So one team go in, the other one rest. And then they will just interchange within each other. So that's how we managed to, you know, get this long course of rescue mission ongoing.
So that brings me to, you know, this next segment. We're talking about the will to fight on despite the challenges, and, you know, assessing the situation as, you know, fatigue sets in, mental anguish sets in as well, which when you talk to survivors, because this is what will be happening, there will be death toll and there will be survivors, and there will be mental sort of need to be able to maintain both the survivors as well as the rescuers and whoever that's on site. When you talk to survivors, what was that like? Were you on site, Doc?
I'm also on site, but I'm focusing on documentations, not focusing on really focusing on operation, but on documentation, because the documentation and also planning is very important during the operation.
Right.
When we do the good planning and good documentation, so our men will go with full energy and full motivation and everything, because this is a prolonged disaster, not only 1 day or 1 hour, but we need to make sure our personnel is enough in terms of physical and in terms of motivations. This is very important. So what that civil defense intend to our personnel is very from their training first, from their training. That's introduce us how to handle the operation wisely, and also we can do much better within the agencies.
Now, during that course of, you know, this entire search and rescue operations, you know, seeing the devastation, were there men that have broken down, and how do you manage those who are, you know, sort of affected by those situations?
Yeah, they were. So I actually, you know, took some time to talk to my subordinates. So I tried to get them to tell me what they have been through, and I also asked them their feeling. So when they talk through it, right, I think it certainly helps them to rethink and also realign their mental fitness.
Right. Let's talk about the rescue dogs. Perhaps you can.
Yes. Actually, APM also we do have rescue dogs. We call it SAR dogs, search and rescue dogs. The name is Star.
Yeah, the car.
The black one. We in the day one, we receive the SAR dogs to help for the first phase of the search and rescue operation, and then Alhamdulillah we find many groups of victims by the search and rescue dog, and then come to second day another canine dog, search and rescue dog from other agencies, for example from Bomber and also from the ATM military also can.
And how do you guys train with the rescue dogs? Because, you know, there must be that coordinating effort and understanding, you know, do they have intense training together with the teams itself?
Yes, actually SAR dog is a very specialized training. You know, the dog, they are so good at their smelling. So we actually fully utilize their smelling part. So during the training, we will train the dog to smell, you know, dead body.
Right.
So there's a special order from dead body, so the dog will smell it. So when the dog smell it, then they will alert their officer. So when the dog bark, then we know, okay, something must be there.
Right.
Then only the dog will bark.
Right.
So when the dog bark, then all of us will rush there and we'll try to dig that specific part, and also help. And I remember, you know, the K9, the SAR dogs, they actually help us to retrieve quite a lot of dead bodies. I think more than 5.
Right.
Yeah.
Were they also able to help with finding survivors, or were there any survivors that were under the rubble though?
I think during the first incident, all the survivors is
they are being
escaped.
They escaped. Yes.
Right. So those that were buried, were there any that was surviving at this point?
They're surviving, but they're surviving in the first phase, which is during the first groups going inside to the incidents.
Right, during the first response team when you guys were there in the first early hours.
Yeah,
right.
about 20 to 24 survivors.
Right.
Yeah, so we brought them out.
Right.
And the rest, they died at the scene.
Right. I think one of the questions is, the most common physical challenges we wanted to know rescuers face when responding to landslide. What are the physical challenges that they face?
I think the landscape over there, is quite dangerous. It's very slippery, and the soil is very soft.
Muddy.
It's muddy. Once if you are not careful enough, right, then you will sink into the muddy.
And then came with the heavy train and everything. So it's very challenging.
And also when we are getting the body down, inside the structure. So, we are going downhill.
Right.
So the operation tends to be quite challenging because we have to hold up our own body and at the same time to hold the structures and to go down the hill. So it's a very challenging part for the rescuer.
Yeah, because I think we've had incidences, of course, in the past for rescuers actually perishing while rescuing as well. So these are things that are at the back of your mind when you're in there, to be physically present, mentally present, and emotionally present. And support system, I think, is very key with regards to ensuring everyone's 100% at this point of time.
That's the importance of PFA. Psychology, first aid, for not only for the victims but only for us also as a responder, because the responder need to have good motivation during the prolonged event or prolonged incident or operations. They need the good support system. For example, they don't need only food only, but they need a motivation, because sometimes when you go into the ground zero, the incident area, you find a lot of sometimes, for example, when I go, you can see the dead body of a child, so you can remember my child in the house and at home and everything. So a little bit
grief moment
to you, affected to the responder actually.
Yeah, I know many has suffered losses. Everybody's been affected. We've interviewed Captain Bala, chairman and founder of Malaysia International Research and Rescue, or MISAR, on his thoughts on how we come together as a family in a crisis, regardless of race or religion, and a sense of what the semangat of Muhibah was like to him. And we'd like to hear his recording. This was his response. Let's take a look.
Disaster often caught us off guard and beyond our control due to its nature, and it is important for everyone to work together to support one another during emergencies. That's why the semangat Muhibah comes in. Malaysian, we are known as a caring society. I think the only way we can keep it going is to continue the volunteerism, the support, and the relief work that each and every one of you doing. It's never enough. Continue do what you are doing. During our early time, we were caught with the Highland Towers tragedy, landslide Bukit Antarabangsa tragedy, post-Dipang tragedy. All these tragedy has, even though brought us a lot of pain and suffering, but disaster has put all of us together. Can we see that all of us are so united when something happens to Malaysian, regardless of race and religion? So continue doing this. Don't stop the volunteerism. Give your best of the best for those who are in need. When you're not affected by disaster, doesn't mean that you're lucky, because you're the chosen one to give. Giving is a great honor. As the Malay saying goes, tangan yang memberi lebih mulia daripada tangan yang menerima.
We also asked him how can we support one another and maintain a sense of unity and community during this challenging time from the pandemic COVID-19 until now, and this was what he answered.
Everyone can do something. We know during the COVID-19, each and every one of you play your part, helping your neighbors, friends and families, including strangers. Now is the flood, is the time that we need your help. Come forward and continue support. Kelantan and Terengganu was badly hit by flood. Pahang was badly hit. I think we need every one of us out here to come forward, support. If you think your organization or your community can do something, just do it. You can do a simple relief effort by helping those people who's in need. Corporate companies, support your staff. Give them your blessing to continue helping those people in need. Automobile industries can also offer all the students good in automobiles to go there and to restore vehicles that affected by flood by just cleaning it up, start the vehicles. It's a very good. I know there's a lot of automobile vocational colleges, universities, institutes that offer such a courses, and their students can do as their project paper to go to the flood affected area after the water subside. They can actually help them to restore the vehicles, because those people who are affected by flood, they're mentally down, they are financially down, and their motivation is very low because they see their homes are affected, their family was at the relief centers, So it is good that such vocational students can play their part.
Now, Captain Bala is currently in the East Coast helping flood victims. Thank you, Captain, for your unwavering dedication and effort to help those affected by the floods. Now, we always talk about how we come together as a family, Malaysian, Muhibah. But I think in this segment, I just want to talk about personal stories. Are there any personal stories that either one of you would like to share? Perhaps we could start with you, Kang, with regards to, this situation and how you're addressing it, how you're managing it.
Yeah, actually, my village, there are actually two families who passed away in this landslide.
Right.
So I actually got this news in the first day. So I was like, I was talking to my my friends, and I asked her, "Are you sure?" Because it's quite serious.
Yes.
And I look at the situation. I think it's most probably they actually died. So I was trying to get their confirmation.
Right.
And after a few phone call, things like that, and I realized that they are really inside.
Oh dear.
Yeah, so it's quite a very saddened part. I as a rescuer, I try to save many lives, but I have never imagined that such incident will happen so near to me.
Right.
Yeah, and plus this the person that I know. So it's so I was like, trying my best, try to retrieve, to locate the bodies, and hopefully to can bring them home. Yeah, so it's quite a sad news for me lah.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you manage that? Because this is really far more sort of intense when it's someone personal that is in there, and you think that if I'm in a situation that potentially can make a difference and can help that person, how do you mentally prepare yourself in that situation now?
As a rescuer, I have to be rational. Even though I know inside there are somebody that I know, but I have to be rational. I have to try my best, use all my knowledge that I have in rescue, to try to locate the body and bring them out. So I've tried my best to, communicate with a few agencies, talk to them about, their last location might be, and also where were they and how many of them. And we work together. Everybody knows the stories. Everybody know the hardship. So we actually work together. We are trying to locate the 8 bodies, and we have to bring them out.
Right.
Yeah.
And any personal stories?
That one is not easy to receive that kind of story like Kang told us just now, because sometimes when they know we are as a rescuer, so actually the first thing we need to give to our family members know that this is our jobs. Then you need to accept everything. What happened to you, you need to have willingness to leave us, and then we need to go to work first and for everything. But inside in my mind, inside in my heart, I need to save my family first. This is the very important thing. Whereas I can help them by my own, but I need to get something something help from the others to make sure my family in the safe manner. This is the main reason when this is one of the history during 2014, Bah Kuning in Kelantan, which is I found many family members were sad because some of them also victims and they are also rescuer.
Right.
This is very hard moment during that time.
It's not easy to detach from the situation, to be able to do your job and not be affected by your own personal emotions because of your own inclinations. And like I said, thank you very much to both of you for their strength, your dedication to rise above all these challenges. It's not for everyone. It's not for the faint of heart, and it's very difficult. But before we close, I wanted sort of like to have perhaps a PSA announcement in the sense where if someone's in a situation like this, what is the first thing that you should, be doing? So, like, what should I do if I'm caught in a situation like this?
For me, when you receive emergency or disaster, for example, flood, I think we can predict the flood will come, which is our area is in the prone to the disaster, for example, for flood. So we need to get prepared. So my suggestion to all of Malaysian or community, they need to be prepared with knowledge and also training. This is only not the scheduled training, but a simple training, which is, for example, you need to have ready to go back, for example, as awareness. Ready to go back include, this is emergency bags, include our first need. For example, for the first 48 hours that we do have our foods, ready to eat foods, and then we have fresh water and everything before the rescue come to us. So the ready to go back is very important for each individual in the house.
Any final closing words from you, Kang?
To me, I think most importantly, safety first.
Yes.
Yeah, because I have seen so many lives in that matter, and to me, if you can survive, that's the most precious things that you will have. You know, what you have in the home, that's just not important at the time. So safety first.
What is your last word with regards to the mental fortitude in that situation when you're panicking? How do you overcome that? Perhaps that's something that you can share.
Don't panic. You know, be calm, and you know, forget what is, so-called very precious to you. For example, your money, your wallet, your phone, your computer.
Your phone.
Yeah, that's not important.
That's in the life, right?
My Wi-Fi and all those kind of things. That's not important. The first thing in your mind should be safety first. I must survive.
Right. Yeah. Lives over material stuff. Thank you so much to you both. We'd like to take this opportunity again. Once again, thank you to you both, to the teams and to the teams that you manage for your dedication and support. And Malaysia thanks you as well. Now, that's all the time that we have. We were speaking to Colonel Civil Defence Technologist Dr. MOHAMAD FAZLI SARDI, Commandant of Civil Defence Training Academy, as well as Lieutenant Civil Defence KANG Civil Defence Special Team. Thank you to all frontliners for your tireless effort and dedication throughout the year. Your bravery and selflessness have not gone unnoticed, and Malaysia is grateful for everything that you do. Happy New Year, and here's to another year of service. Bye for now.